Last night, I talked to folks who brought so much to discussion, leaders of the small business community of this city, who are part of our small business advisory group. And we've called together these advisory councils because we need to hear from people their perspective. We need to hear what they're going through. We need to hear their fears and their anxieties and the unknown, but also their solutions, their ideas. There was one particularly poignant moment where owner of a small business in Chinatown talked about what it has been like since basically the beginning of this year, that against the backdrop of this horrible crisis and the human suffering, that so many members of the Chinese American community and the Asian American community have, on top of that, suffered discrimination throughout, which is wholly unacceptable. And I want to remind everyone, we will fight this discrimination, we will fight this bias wherever we see it, and we need people to call in. If it's any act of discrimination or bias, call 311. We need to know when anyone has been the victim of a bias crime. If it's obviously something violent and immediate, call 911. But the point last night that was even more poignant was that people have suffered discrimination while losing their livelihoods. Think about this for a moment, and let's put ourselves in the eyes and in the shoes of people who worked all their life to create something for their families, create these beautiful small businesses all over New York City, then suffered discrimination, and then saw their business fall away because of fears that people had, unfortunately fears stoked by misunderstanding and bias that caused everyday New Yorkers not to want to go to a Chinese restaurant. I remember going to Chinese restaurants in Chinatown and in Flushing, Queens, to make the point that there was no bias that should be accepted or perceived from one community to another. And what I heard last night was about the pain of a community that has lost its livelihood, not when most others did, but a month earlier, 2 months earlier, than so many other people in the city, so many other small businesses in this city. So look, it is a reminder to us that we have a lot to do. The city has done a lot to overcome bias and discrimination. We have a much stronger social fabric than we used to, even just a couple of decades ago. We will overcome this. We need to embrace and uplift our Asian American brothers and sisters in this fight to bring back our city. But we also need to especially focus on the economic reality of those communities and make sure those small businesses come back, and that we all go and make an extra effort to patronize them and help them back on their feet, because in many ways they suffered long before everybody else in this crisis.